Welcome everyone to the Mind, Body, and Soul television show, coming to you live from our internet television studios here in Denver, Colorado. I am your host and also the founder of Conscious Evolution Media, and we are streaming right now live on YouTube Live as well as Google Hangouts and ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com. And I have a very interesting and intriguing guest with us this afternoon. He's a returning guest, so he's well experienced, and we're gonna go deep and wide this afternoon. Reverend Thabiti, welcome to the show. He's joining us from Las Vegas. How are you?
Hey, Steve. How are you, buddy? Thank you for having me on your show.
I'm doing great, thank you. You're very welcome. I really look forward to it. It's going to be interesting and intriguing. And let's just begin with how I usually start my show, which has been going on now for 8 years. Is if I took away all your titles, Reverend Thabiti, titles I mean maybe an author, maybe a creator of the personal map system. Maybe people called you before Reverend. Maybe they called you all kinds of other titles. If I took all those away, what's left? Who is really Reverend Thabiti?
Well, in that case, I'd be a self-proclaimed nobody. A self-proclaimed nobody. I would say that if I called myself a truth lover or a truth seeker, would that also be considered a title?
Well, if you're putting it that way, I would say if your passion is about the truth and about your personal truth, then I think you got it right on. You hit the nail on the head. That would not be a title. That would be like this is what Reverend Thabiti is all about.
Yes. In other words, that fundamentally is what led to what we're talking about today. Is as an individual, I have a couple of simple passions. One of those passions is I love to fix things. I love to improve things, to make things better. And then so that was why I majored in physics in college, because I believe that before we can fix something, we must first understand, well, how does it operate or how does it work?
Yeah, like conceptually. Like if we don't understand something conceptually, like we got to be able to see the big picture. If we don't, we're not getting anywhere, are we?
Right. So that's why I studied physics, was because physics explains how the universe works, how it operates, but also how to explain it mathematically, or how to prove it mathematically. And then the other part of that, with all titles stripped away, is I minored in comparative religions, which the reason why I studied comparative religions is because I've always been fascinated with the powerful, influential effect, or just the powerful influence that religion has on its followers. And so what happened was, in the course of studying religion, aside from understanding their differences, I became even more interested in where do they agree? Where do they come together? And so what kept coming up for me was this word, truth. The Bhagavad Gita, which is the Hindu scripture in India, says that the truth is eternal, and it says that the truth is triumphant and always prevails in the end. And then the Holy Quran says that the truth is eternal and everlasting. And then the Holy Bible says the truth will set you free. So it was at that moment that I became a self-proclaimed truth seeker.
But first, it will piss you off.
Well, yeah, I've heard that one too. That first it will tick you off. But for me, what happened was, once I became a self-proclaimed truth seeker, I was just in search for, where does one find this truth that all of the religions seem to be in agreement on. And so I stumbled across it during a poker game. I was in a high stakes poker game. At least it was high stakes according to my wallet. It was high stakes. And so yeah, not like what you see on TV or anything like that. No, I mean, but according to my salary, it was very high stakes. So what happened was, after losing all my chips in the poker game, the guy that was raking it in, raking the chips towards himself, he said, "The cards don't lie," and that really got my attention in a very powerful way. It was like having a aha moment. The aha moment was, here it is. I've been studying all the great religions of the world.
You know what just came to me when you said that? This is really, I think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What came to me when you said that is human beings, in general, are liars.
You said that, not me.
Yeah, I stand behind it because
I'm not calling anybody a liar.
Well,
not on television.
But if you really check into this, and believe me, I have, we all lie as human beings. It's a human condition.
Okay.
So when you talk about the truth, that gets to be very interesting because people can't handle the truth. There's a movie, right?
That's
where
right.
This actor says, "You can't handle the truth."
Right, it's Jack Nicholson.
Yeah. And,
you can't handle the truth. What do you mean you want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
Yeah, that's right. And what's interesting, too, is there have been a lot of people out there that have claimed and proclaimed that they knew the truth. And people have been burned. Why? Because truth is a very, how do I put it? It's a very dangerous subject matter, because what truth are we talking about? Are we talking about universal truth, or are we talking about our own truth? And when somebody starts telling me that they know the truth and I must follow what they're doing and what they're saying because it is the truth, I start running.
Actually, that's what you're making a very good point, because if we were to simply look up the word truth in the dictionary, it's going to have several definitions, and so each definition would represent a different context. Just like you said, are we referring to universal truth, or are we referring to what's true for you may not be true for him? Such as, right. You could form a circle around a beach ball and tell and say, okay, what color do you see? And so the people on one side see yellow and white, and the people on the other side see red and white. The other ones see green and white, and the other ones see blue and white. You see, and yet that's what's true to them. But correct. the truth that I speak of is that something that makes everyone sit on the toilet. That's the truth I'm talking about. In other words, whatever it is that makes one have to sit on the toilet,
it's true for everyone. It's true for everyone.
Exactly. Exactly. In other words,
it's a universal truth. It's not your truth. It's not my truth. It's a universal truth. Yeah.
And that's the only thing you're going to get from me as far as this subject is concerned.
Okay.
Yes. In other words, the truth, the ultimate reality of our existence is simply this: we're either standing with the truth, or we will have to face the truth. Either way, the truth is always going to win. You see, and so that's the thing that most people, in my opinion, are most afraid of, is to actually find out that what they think and what they believe is actually not true at all.
Correct.
And so
and that's why people are running around most of their lives being exposed to everything out there, because they don't know who they are, and they don't know what they are about, and they don't know what makes their heart sing. So therefore, they'll go for anything.
You may have a point there, Steve. Yeah, what in other words, like I don't want to speak for what anyone else's truth is and what's true to them, and that's completely away from where I'm coming from. But as to not be misunderstood, when I talk about the truth, the truth is, for example, everyone gets 24 hours in a day, no matter what we think or believe. In other words, no matter how much money we earn, even Bill Gates cannot buy the 25th hour in a day because we're only given 24. That's a universal reality. Actually, I would even have to equate truth with law, universal law. In other words, it's universal laws that cause us to have to sit on the toilet. It's universal law, or like when, in other words, when someone flips the switch, the light comes on without regard to whether we're a Buddhist or a Muslim or a Christian, because this is how it works, and it doesn't seek to be agreed with, or it doesn't need to be believed, because it's true regardless of anyone's individual belief about it.
It is
And
what
so,
so. It is what
yes,
so. Mhm.
right. And so but it's in that context, as far as when I said that I was in search of this truth, that the universal truth, which is, like I said, which came to me when the during that poker game, when the guy raked in the chips and he said the cards don't lie. It's like I had heard this my entire life, but I never understood what does that mean. I just studied all of these great religions, but yet it was this standard deck of playing cards that it was like that stone that was left unturned. And so upon doing an investigation into the standard deck of playing cards, I stumbled across some very interesting truths, such as no matter where we go in the world, if we walk into a casino, we will see that they're all in agreement around one deck and one deck only. It's not the tarot cards, it's not the angel cards, but this is the deck that attracts all the money. The deck that's familiar to games like poker and blackjack and solitaire.
Mhm.
These are the cards that I'm referring to.
Mhm.
Another truth is that um, this deck of playing cards and its structure remains unchanged since its origin, and that there still exists no authority anywhere on planet Earth that can change the structure of this deck, which once again is a truth, or a fact. A fact is basically something that's proven true or false, but that's what makes it a fact. But then, so upon doing my own investigation into the standard deck of playing cards, I learned that there is a mathematical correlation between the structure of the deck of playing cards and our modern calendar. For example, there are 52 cards in the deck representing the 52 weeks in our year. Then there are 12 face cards that are the jacks, queens, and kings, which represent our 12 months and the 12 a.m. and the 12 p.m. hours of the day. Then we have 4 suits, which are hearts, clubs, diamonds, and spades. And these 4 suits represent the 4 directions of time. Just like in space, we have north, south, east, and west, but in time, we also have 4 directions that are hearts is when we advance emotionally. Clubs is when we advance mentally. Diamonds is financially, and spades is spiritually. And so everyone in existence is seeking to advance in at least one of these directions, if not all of them. Then, when the deck is divided in half, the hearts and the diamonds make the red cards, and the clubs and spades make the black cards. And so this red and black represents the positive and negative aspect of our existence, as in night and day, or inhale and exhale. And so, Steve, what this did was, this really fascinated me, because this seems to transcend the limiting belief systems that. Well, let me see if I can rephrase this. The world is divided by religion, and religion is further divided by what they believe. For example, the Protestants believe this and the Catholics believe that. This is not what brings them together, it's actually what keeps them apart. So I think that the next level of human development or human evolution is to reach the level of universal law or universal truth, because this is what puts everyone in the same boat. This is where all the religions come into agreement, is around this whole word called truth. And I don't mean it in the context of what, that to this guy the world is flat and to this other guy the world is round truth. I'm talking about the truth that transcends or is it's beyond it's beyond the limits of time or space, because it's universal and it doesn't care what we think or believe. For example, this truth, if it wants to put a tornado over here, a hurricane over there, an earthquake over here, it doesn't seek our approval or permission to operate the way it does. Now that's a truth. It doesn't care, whether we like it or whether we agree with it. In other words, it doesn't say, "Hey Steve, do you mind if I rip up this neighborhood? Because I don't want you to be mad at me, buddy. I don't want you to be mad at me because I'm going to rip up this neighborhood really bad tonight." You see, in other words, this truth that is in operation, this truth that is always revealing itself to each and every one of us, this truth is almost something that shows up almost like a mirror that is reflecting our attitude, perception, and belief.
So like the fact that we born and we die, those are more of those universal truths, right?
Certainly. Certainly, because like in the same way that everyone goes through 7 days a week, regardless of what anybody thinks or what anyone believes, it doesn't matter what calendar one subscribes to, whether it's a Mayan calendar or a Julian calendar or a Gregorian calendar, a lunar calendar. The bottom line is 7 days is what constitutes a week. You see, because 7 is actually a very powerful number in this whole time map system and everything, because everything seems to revolve around the number 7. But we promise not to get too technical about this. But what I will say is that when I learned about the structure of the deck having a mathematical correlation with our calendar, being a student of Einstein as a physics major, you're automatically a student of Einstein as well as other physicists, but Einstein is the one that always stands out, because Albert Einstein was most famous for proving the relationship between time and space. It's called the law of relativity, or mathematically it's E equals mc squared. But what it simply means for all of us that are tuned in is it simply means that wherever you are, there's always the time you're there. Where you are is called a map of the United States, or a map in your country if you're in another place. When we are, that's the personal time map system that's available at thepower.org. And so the time map system is an interactive birth chart that integrates our date of birth with universal laws that govern existence. But these universal laws are found in the ancient science of the standard deck of playing cards, and that's why we're having this conversation about the deck of playing cards. In other words, this is what the deck of playing cards has to do with it. And so what
okay,
happens,
so let's just say, just for the sake of the viewers out there, that this is a system that you developed. It's just a tool, but let's see if we can bring it really into clarity as to what people have the potential to get out of this tool, this system. What is it? What's in it for me?
well, what's in it for you is illuminated directional guidance. The time map system provides illuminated empowerment. That's very similar to the experience of when there's a reason why we use headlights when driving down a dark road. And so when you turn on your headlights when driving down a dark road, that's what's in it for you. In other words, when darkness is removed from your situation or circumstances, then you're able to see what it is that you're approaching, so that you can predetermine which way is leading to what it is that you seek to accomplish. You see, as well as seeing who to avoid and when to avoid them, because one of the extraordinary features of the time map system, beyond its profound truthfulness and accuracy that cannot be matched by anything else on planet Earth, is that it has this exclusive feature where the people who surround you in your life are all located and identified on your time map by their birthday, along with the experience that's happening from your point of view. And so where this puts you at advantage is you're able to predetermine whether you want to do business with this lawyer or that lawyer, or this stockbroker or that stockbroker, or if you want to move in the direction of this potential love interest, or if you don't want to or not, because once the darkness is removed, then that means you're no longer crashing into those painful and costly mistakes, because no one makes a mistake because they see that they're making a mistake. It was always someone who will say something like, if I would have known that I was going to lose my money monkeying around with this idiot, I would have never given him my money. Or there may be a lady that says, if I would have known that this guy was going to cause me so much grief, I would have never gotten involved with him. And so what these individuals are both saying is that if they would have seen that they were taking a direction that wasn't leading to what they want to accomplish, they would have gone in another direction. You see, because if you look at a map of the United States, for example, what a map of the United States does is it first shows you where you are. Okay, that's the first thing the map does. The second thing that the same map does is the map shows you what will happen in the future, or what to expect if you go in any direction. For example, that map says if you go north, then it tells you Canada will come into your future. If you go south, it tells you that Mexico will come into your future. But what that map is not doing is that map is not predicting which direction you will choose. Except the difference between a time map and a map of where you are is that our direction is determined by who we choose to be connected to, or who we choose to be involved with, because the people who are going to show up identified on our time map are the people who are getting the most of our time or attention. And so so in the same way that a map of the United States will say if you go north Canada, south Mexico, your time map will tell you that if you go with this lawyer, you're going to lose your case. If you go with this lawyer, you're going to be satisfied with the outcome. If you go with this stockbroker, you're going to have financial trouble. If you go with this stockbroker, you're going to have financial success.
So how does this compare to people's intuition?
The intuition?
Mm-hmm.
Well, in other words, the intuition is a skill or an art. The time map system is a science. Mm. And so that would be the first comparison. But what I'm going to say...
What I'm also noticing is that, like, I'm already using a system like yours, is what it occurs to me, and I call it my intuition. Like, when I'm about to do business with someone, my intuition tells me if I should go ahead and do it or not. The question is, will I listen to my intuition or not? Very similar to your system, scientifically. It will tell me, is what I'm understanding, if I'm going to go ahead and go this direction and do business with this person. It may not be advantageous to me. It may not get me what I want, but the choice is still mine, correct?
The choice is always yours. See, here's what I'm going to say about your intuition. Regardless of how skillful one is with their intuition, I'm still going to tell you to look both ways before crossing the highway. Okay? And in other words, I don't care what your intuition is saying. You still need to look both ways before crossing the highway. You don't turn your headlights off, okay, when you're driving down a dark road to be guided by your intuition. That's the difference here, is your life is the result, the accumulative result of all of the choices you make and direction you take. It's just that now, for the first time in human history, we can literally see now what our directional choices are in the context of time. Because Albert Einstein once again proved the relationship between time and space, which simply means wherever we are, there's always the time we're there, and that these two things must coexist or we don't exist.
So wait a minute. So what's coming to me right now is this is like a navigation system. So this is no different than when I go sit in my car. I go into my car and I, like yesterday, I had to go somewhere and I never been there before, right? And so I inputted the address into my system in my car, and it said, this is the address, and is this okay? And I said yes. And then as soon as I said yes, it took me there, held my hand, and told me exactly where to go, when to make a right, when to make a left, what highway to take, and how long it's going to take. Is it similar to that?
I would say that we probably are, I don't know, maybe 10 years away from something like that being part of the time map system, where in other words, with what you're saying and with the time map system, if we were able to do that today, then we would be able to say, okay, time map, show me which way leads to my financial success. You see, and yet the time map system does do that, but still the time map system is not making any decisions for you, meaning that in other words,
right. I mean, my system in my car doesn't make the decisions either. Ultimately, I make them because guess what? Sometimes it tells me make a right, and I don't. I keep going, and then what does it say? It says recalculating, and I may ignore it, and I continue to go.
Okay. Yeah. In this particular case, what happens is our life, once again, is the result of the choices we make and direction we take. Okay? Except for the first time in history, we're now able to see what our directional choices are. Because prior to the existence of the time map system, that's how everyone lived their life. Was they lived their life as in driving down a dark road and just hoping that you don't crash into something. You see, and so today, with the time map system, what we're able to do is we're able to stay on track with the people and things that support what it is that we seek to accomplish.
Yeah. Well, we crash into things, Reverend, and then we call that learning.
Right.
When we have a relationship with somebody that never meant to be working out, we go ahead and do it, and then it doesn't work out, and we call that, okay, well, what did I learn? And it may have been painful, but we learned something. So
yeah, right.
So I'm just trying to grasp, because it seems to me like what you're describing, and we're going to show this to the viewers in just a minute. It seems to me that I'm not even sure right now that this is something that shouldn't be in existence on our smartphone, as a module to be downloaded, and we should not be living life without one of these tools, just like we're not living life anymore without this, right?
Okay.
Because what you're telling me is based on who I am in relationship with at the present moment, and if I understand it correctly, if I know their birth date, right, I can input this into your system, and the system will guide me if these people that I'm in relationship with, or just about beginning to be in relationship with, or just about getting ready to do business with, if that's going to be further me along within my own goals or not. Why shouldn't I? Give me a reason why I shouldn't have one of these systems. Of course, you're going to be biased about that, but give it to me anyway.
I'm not really sure what you're saying, Steve, but what I'm saying is very simple. What I'm saying is simply this. Whatever your reason is for using headlights when driving down a dark road is the same exact reason why everyone needs the time map system. So if we switch the conversation to things like being intuitively guided and and coming up with all these other notions, then we're not even on track with what this is and what this is all about. Because
I'm kind of representing the viewers right now because people are going to be
that's fine.
people are going to be telling you this stuff. you might as
that's
well.
still that doesn't change my answer, Steve. In other words,
I respect that and I appreciate that, but this is how people are. I am just another person out there, and this is what's coming to me, and I'm going like, okay, you can see these questions or objections as what viewers would be basically saying when they watch this broadcast. They're going to go, okay, okay, I'm using my intuition, and that's been working for me, and I learned that every time I don't use my intuition, I get burned, so I'm going to start listening. So now there's this system now that you're presenting to the world.
Right.
That's going to help people potentially.
It validates. It simply validates. It validates intuition. In other words, if someone's talking to a psychic, it validates the psychic. Psychics don't validate the time map system. The time map system validates psychics, astrologers. In other words, because the one thing the time map system doesn't do is the time map system doesn't lie. Because remember, this is based on an ancient science with an age-old reputation for truthfulness. And it has been said forever that the cards don't lie. It's just that what the time map system proves is that the truthfulness of the deck of playing cards goes way beyond poker and blackjack and games like that.
And let me understand, where does that truth comes from? Does it come from the place of when we were born, based on our birth date, and how the universe were all connected in that moment? Mm-hmm. And is it all connected to our destinies? Do we have destinies?
Do we have destiny?
Yeah.
Yeah, your life will be the result of the choices you make and direction you take, and that will never change. In other words, everybody tuned in right now is tuned in because they made the choice to do it. You made the choice to be the host. I made the choice to be the guest, and we made the choice to do it at this hour of the day. And I'm saying that aspect of our existence is never going to change. It's just that now we have a simple tool that simply removes the darkness. Therefore, it puts us at a superior advantage over our situation or circumstance, so that no matter what the intuition is saying, one can validate what the intuition is saying one way or the other, true or false, is what the time map system does.
Okay. So before we demonstrate the system, I want to make sure that people get clarity about this. So let's assume for a moment, okay, before we do that, let's assume for a moment is that I listened to my intuition before I invited you as a guest, and my intuition told me, yes, Dr. Reverend Thabiti will be a great guest, and he's got something really important and cool to share with the world. Now, let's assume that before I did this show, I had access to your system, and I actually used it. How would I have used the system? And now what we're getting down to is the nitty-gritty of the usefulness and the result that I would have gotten if I had access to your system before I actually done business with you. I would have had to know your birth date, right? I would have put that in, and what would I have learned?
Well, the first thing you would have learned is that the time map system is universally verifiable and mathematically exact. That would have been the first thing you've learned. The second thing you would have learned is that whatever your issues are, and whoever you have this issue with is exactly what you're going to see on your time map at the time it happens. Then another thing that you will have discovered is that this time map system doesn't just stop there, because now we have now the ability to look at anyone else's time map, and because we know our own birthday, this means that we can locate ourselves on that person's time map, thus giving us the ability to see ourselves from that person's point of view. And there's absolutely nothing else in existence that can do that. If you would have experienced the time map system prior to this interview right now, I don't see how you would be any different from any other radio talk show host that I have been. I'm on a radio talk show tour, and the vast majority of them have experienced the time map system prior to having me on as a guest. And in all of these cases, you can't shut them up about how great and amazing this time map system is, especially coupled with the fact that even though it's a new technology, for people seeing it the first time, it is extremely simple because it comes with these two easy instructions where the computer does all of the work. The first instruction is how to locate the people on your chart, and so all you do is enter the birthday, and the computer locates them by having these little computer hands that point to where they are on your chart. Then the second instruction is, well, then what does it mean? And so all you have to do is just drag the mouse over to where that person is, and the definition will pop out like a balloon telling you what it means. And so then we have two.
Okay, so we can just do this part, Reverend, as part of the demo. But
Sure.
what I'm really curious about, and I'm wondering if I can get an answer for this,
All right.
is that if I used your system prior to the interview, because my purpose in life, because I own the Internet TV network, Conscious Evolution Media, is to help people go through evolution as a human being. I am all about helping people, and I do it through my own self. I do it through becoming a better human being every moment as I'm able to do it. So I do it by leadership. So I do a lot of new things. I'm open to a lot of new things, including what you have to say, to provide that to the world so that people can be open. Because I'm finding that openness, and this is not true about religion, but openness is one of the basic fundamental foundation of consciousness. If we're not open, forget about consciousness. Does that make sense?
I actually lean towards agreement with you on that, Steve. But see, here's, like I said, the truth doesn't care whether we believe it or not. It doesn't seek our approval. It doesn't need to be agreed with. No matter what we think or believe, it doesn't change what the truth is. You see, and so, but then even the scripture says the meek shall inherit the earth. And meek means teachable. Meek means teachable. So therefore, I don't really waste time with the know-it-alls and all that. The time map system is primarily intended for truth seekers, that people that really want to experience the freedom and power of existence by having the truth the truth that's behind the important decisions that you're going to make in life, where it's rooted in ancient science. This stuff doesn't last forever because it's nonsense. This stuff to show you how powerful this is. Right now, you can imagine that at some table in a casino, there's $5 million in chips on the table, okay, where they are awaiting the turn of the next card. Okay, and what's going to happen is that means that the player is wagering $5 million, and the casino is also matching that bet. So they're both wagering $5 million apiece, and they're both wagering over the fact that these cards will never, ever, ever lie. Because when that next card turns, you either win or lose. End of story. It doesn't matter where you went to college. Doesn't matter what religious belief you have. That's the way it works, except what I'm explaining is that the name of the game is not poker and blackjack. The name of the game is to be successful in these four suits, which is to be successful emotionally hearts, to be successful mentally clubs, to be successful financially diamonds, and to be successful spiritually spades. Now, if that appeals to anybody, then that's what the time map system is for. There are some people that will literally complicate their way out of a very simple thing. In other words, that's why it says the meek shall inherit the earth. That means the teachable are the ones that are going to inherit the earth, not the know-it-alls. The know-it-alls are just going to give you a whole bunch of rigmarole, but the bottom line is the people that we have using the time map system range from high-level executives and celebrities all the way to college students and housewives. We have people as young as 8 years old that can teach other people how to do the time map system. And so without all of the complications, I've already taken the complications, okay, and converted it into simplification. Because a genius, and I'm not calling myself a genius, but I'm saying that a genius is one who takes complexity and simplifies it, meaning that they take the calculus and translates it into arithmetic. You see, so that it has modern practical application, modern practical use, which that's what I've done. If I were to take any credit for anything, I didn't invent the deck of playing cards. The cards were here before all of us were here. But what I was able to do, because they weren't able to do this in ancient times, is they didn't have computers, they didn't have internet, and they didn't have the sophisticated math that we have today. And so what I've been able to do is take an ancient science and structure this in a way to make it fun and interactive at the website, thepower.org, and make it so that even someone like Homer Simpson can use this system so that that way they can see which way and with whom is leading to what it is that you seek to accomplish, as well as being able to see who to avoid, when and why to avoid them. Because, Steve, here's something nobody in your audience knows, and that is that you go through time periods. And so the time map tells you the exact date that you're going to enter your next time period. And so, if ignorance is bliss, then, then stay in ignorance. But people that really are, who take their life a little bit seriously and don't want to gloss over these new tools that are being made available that literally illuminate one's existence, illuminate in an empowering way that puts a person now at a superior advantage, so that way they know who to avoid and basically which direction to go. If someone knows, for example, if they have a legal case pending and they can see that they're destined to lose this case, then they can tell their lawyer, look, we need to settle this thing. Or if they can see that, look, if we can just stretch this thing out, for another 6 months, I will win this case. Why is that? Because it's been said forever that timing is everything, except the time map system proves that. It proves it. See, okay. Steve, here's the only thing I need to say. The reason why I'm extremely successful, and the reason why I will always be extremely successful with the time map system, is because I don't need to be believed. The time map system is universally verifiable and mathematically exact to anybody who has a date of birth and goes through 7 days a week. So whoever that is, if you have a date of birth and if you go through 7 days a week,
it's gonna be me. It's gonna be me.
Except Steve. Okay, Steve is in his own orbit. Okay, he comes from another time and space where he's beyond what applies to the rest of us. But you're the first person, though, in existence, and the first person on the planet that doesn't go through 7 days a week like the rest of us. But granted, I give you that. And I think that you're doing an outstanding job of playing the devil's advocate with this, and you're asking some extremely interesting questions. The point, though, is that I just want to be careful that people don't misunderstand that there's something that's being made available to people that is saving people's lives. It's saving people's divorces. It's preventing suicides out there. Because when people can see, when you remove the darkness, and people can see, wow, I'm in a bad period, but it ends in 3 days.
I got you fired up, didn't I?
Oh yeah,
I get how passionate you are.
No, you always make me laugh. You always make me laugh, Steve. It's just that I don't want to feel the passion. Yeah, I just don't want to laugh. I don't want to laugh our way out of something that's extremely. People in your audience will be very upset if we stretch this out of context, where they didn't get that this was something that could have made all the difference in the world for what it is that they're trying to do. There's people that are going to go into business deals with business partners. There's corporations who use this time map system as a way of team building, so that way they have the right compatibility going on at the right time with the right people. When eHarmony or Match.com finds out about this, I mean, they're going to go nuts over something like this, because like I said, no one makes a mistake because they see that they're making it. A person is not going to invest in a relationship, for example. If you meet somebody, when you're out and about and you meet somebody, there's a strong attraction, your heart's pounding and you feel it and all that, and then you come to your time map, and if you can see that look, this is not a relationship that's going to happen, or it's not the kind of relationship that I want to affect the decision. Doesn't mean that you're going to go to Canada. The map is just saying only if you go in this direction will you experience Canada. Just like your time map is saying, if you go in the direction of this person, you'll experience the disappointment, or you'll experience the heartache, or you'll experience the success or satisfaction, or whatever the time map is saying. But then because of that other feature about being able to double check this with the bird's eye view, meaning that you can look at this other person's map, and you can locate yourself on that person's time map and see yourself from that person's viewpoint. Even before you even reach that time period, you already know what to expect. For example, if you're going to go into business with somebody because you have financial success pointing at them on your time map, well, look at their map and see if they have financial success pointing at you. Why? Because that's a cosmic guarantee of that success. And that, once again, there's nothing else in the world's existence that makes that happen. It costs millions of dollars to develop this system. And so please forgive me if for some reason I'm not too quick to just laugh this off as if it's something to be quickly dismissed. I have met no one that can dismiss the time map system, because I've met no one who is exempt from the universal laws that are governing existence. Even if they didn't teach you this at Yale or Harvard, or your mommy and daddy didn't know this, but still, once again, no matter what we believe, it doesn't change what the truth is. It doesn't change that. You see, and so right now, what the truth is, that light. That's what the truth is that light. It's that illuminating power that gives us that directional guidance, so that we can literally stay on track with what our intuition is telling us. We can stay on track with the people and things that support what it is that we seek to accomplish, as well as seeing and knowing in advance who to avoid and when to avoid them.
Okay, well, I certainly respect what you have created. Obviously, it's have taken you several decades to do so, and
right.
I certainly wasn't laughing this off. I just learned throughout the years, of the many years that I have been doing this, is that we just can't take ourselves too seriously, and if we can't laugh at ourselves, then the heck with it all.
You can't handle the truth. What do you mean? You can't handle the truth. What do you mean you want the truth? You can't handle the truth.
That's right. That's right. I can't, because I only know my truth. I don't know yours, and I don't know anybody else's. I just know mine.
Mine.
That's the only truth I know. And the one that you said, I have to go and sit on the bathrooms a couple of times a day. I know that truth.
Yeah, well, the next time you sit there, remember me, because that's what I'm representing. What's making you sit on the toilet, that's what I'm trying to teach you. In other words, it doesn't need to be agreed with. It doesn't need to be believed. It doesn't seek our approval. This is the way it works, whether we believe it or not.
I'm open.
Well,
all I can promise you is I'm open. Show me. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so we're going to demo the system.
Okay.
And I'm pressing the button.
Okay.
And
okay.
Where is it? It's coming up.
Okay.
Okay. It's coming up, and I'm watching it on another large screen. So hang up for a second until I actually get to see it. There's a little delay between the live feed and what's coming, so hang on for just a second here. It should be coming. We're just laughing at ourselves right now. So.
Okay.
I've been through too many corporate people that are very significant, and I'm just done with that part of my life. Okay, it's up on the screen, thepower.org, and it's showing what you wanted to show here. So go ahead.
What I did was I just went past a bunch of steps. In other words, first the person has to purchase an access code for $29, and then that provides every time map covers a full year from birthday to birthday. and then that access code has unlimited use. A person can use it 1,000,000 times. It never expires. And so here I've just got your time map on the screen, and what we're looking at is your birth card, which is something that is derived from the birth card chart, which we didn't take any time to discuss that. This is your date of birth right here, Steve, and then this is the age that your time map is covering. Now this age right here started over here underneath this word Mercury, which is that there's your birthday right there, and so the day that you turned 60 years old. And so underneath the word Mercury is this time period right here representing your first 52-day cycle. And then Venus here represents your second 52-day cycle. Mars is your third, Jupiter is your fourth, Saturn is your fifth, Uranus is your sixth, and Neptune is your seventh. Then what happens is over here to this far left is your yearly summary column, which is an overview of the entire year. And so the yearly summary column equals 365 days. That is broken down into the first 52 days, the second 52 days, the third 52 days, because there's 52 cards in the deck, 52 weeks in the year, and 52 days in each one of your time periods. And so the date that each time period starts is at the top of the column. So currently where you are right now is you're in what's called your Venus time period, or your second 52-day cycle. You see, because the time is named after the heavens, Steve, whereas we have Saturn Day, we have Sun Day, we have Moon Day. You see, but Sunday is the name of your first 24-hour cycle in the same way Mercury is the name of your first 52-day cycle. Monday or Moon Day is the name of your second 24-hour cycle, in the same way Venus is the name of your second 52-day cycle. So here what happens is, the way it works
So, Reverend, do I need to learn this? Because I know nothing about this.
No, you don't.
Yeah, no, I don't need to learn
No,
this.
you don't need to, you don't need to learn this, because there's 2 instructional videos at the website, okay, that teach the time map system, and those 2 videos total 11 minutes. 11 minutes is how long it takes to learn the time map system. All I'm doing is giving you a little bit. I don't want to just throw this on the screen without you understanding what it is that you're looking at.
Right. Okay.
Okay. So right here next to this word "go" is where we enter somebody's birthday. Who are you married, Steve?
No.
Okay. Who in your life would you say gets the most of your time and attention?
Me.
Anyone? Okay, so
yes,
it's you
yes.
then, right?
I mean, there's people around me that I work with and I'm friends with, but
Okay.
I don't have a partner, if that's what you're referring to.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I just entered your birthday, March 11th, right here, and then I'm going to click the word "go." Okay, and oh my. Okay, so what's happening now is we have too many things operating between the join.me and the video, the video stream and everything, that it's affecting the program. So I'm not going to be able to show I'm not going to be able to show you how the hands locate people on your chart. But what happens is, anytime we enter a person's birthday and we click go, what happens is the computer then locates where that person is on your map. And then what happens is, when we want to see, so if someone, for example, is identified as this top card in the box, which is the 5 of clubs, then we're going to read the definition of the bottom card in the box. And what happens is, when we touch that card, it's going to give us the definition telling us what does that mean. So, for example, that 5 of clubs, actually, that card identifies, that's one of my identity cards. And so you would be actually reading this definition, and that this is what the time map is saying is what I would look like from your point of view, meaning a valuable male or successful businessman. So even right there, in that context, I am a male. You know, whether you perceive me as valuable or not, I'm sure is questionable. Successful businessman, well, that would apply. An entrepreneur, absolutely. Okay, arriving on top of priorities, or someone that you perceive is a very focused guy. And so that would just be an example of what it is that I'm talking about. Is the time map system shows you what people look like from your point of view. If you want to see what it looks like from anyone else's viewpoint, then we would look at their time map, and then we would locate who we want to locate on that map. Is this making any sense to you, brother?
Yeah, it kind of does. I'm wondering how. Well, since we did put your date of birth in there, so
Okay.
how would it know? How would it know?
It
From my point of view, who you are in my life.
Because what would
What you
happen is
represent in my life.
what would happen is you would enter my birthday and you would click go. Once you click go, then what happens is this 5 of clubs is going to have computer hands pointing at it. Okay, and I mean you can test this on your own. I'll give you your access code, Steve, is 42161. It's 42161. That's your access code. Okay, so I just gave you that as a gift. Okay, so so that you can experiment with this as much as you want. Okay, but when my birthday is entered, then what happens is that 5 of clubs is going to show up. The computer's going to point to it. And so the way the system works is when the computer points to one card, read the definition of the other card, because the other card is defining the experience. And so this King of Diamonds is basically saying that from your viewpoint, this is what I would look like if you chose to move in my direction with your time or involvement. But here's another use. Let me show you this. Let's just say then that you want to make an investment, and you've got 2 stockbrokers that are trying to get you to come in their direction. And the first stockbroker we're going to say is identified as this 9 of hearts in this box, and the second stockbroker is identified as the Ace of Hearts in this box. So for stockbroker number 1, we're going to read this 7 of diamonds, and the 7 of diamonds says financial problems. Okay, it says financial problems. For stockbroker number 2, we're going to read this 10 of diamonds, and this 10 of diamonds says financial success. You see, so once again, this map is not predicting which direction you will take. It's just the map is the purpose of a map is to show you what will happen if you go in any direction. A map of the United States says Canada will happen if you go north, Mexico will happen if you go south. Your time map is saying if you go in the direction of this person, if you go in the direction of this person, then financial problems is what you can expect. If you go in the direction of this, you get it?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, if you go in the direction of that person, then financial success is what you can expect. But once again,
and the system knows this how.
The system knows it how? You're going to have to ask the ancient science people that put it together in the first place. It's like all I'm responsible for is taking something that pre-existed thousands of years ago and using modern tools and equipment so that we can have some practical application, some practical utilization of something that's extremely powerful, reliable, accurate. I mean, there's not a psychic or an astrologer anywhere on Earth that can touch the profound truthfulness and accuracy of the time map system. There's not a psychic or an astrologer on Earth that can show us what we look like from somebody else's point of view. The time map system is the only thing that does that. And I'm not saying this as a way to denounce people that have that skill, because there are some very skillful psychics and some very skillful astrologers. I'm only saying that what they do does not give them the ability to do what this does. And what this does, like I says, applies to anyone who has a date of birth and goes through 7 days a week. Anyone. I've met no one except Steve who is exempt from the rules governing existence.
Well, if that was true, I wouldn't exist.
Well, I'm actually teasing you, brother. I mean, of course, you're not exempt either. In other words, Steve, you don't get the 25th hour in a day either. You don't get the 25th hour in a day either. That's my point. In other words, even you are not exempt from the rules that govern everything. It's just that the more we learn to understand how the universe works, the easier it becomes to improve the way we live. You see, so that's what that is. That's what.
Well, something you don't know about me probably is that I'm a person that connects the dots, or attempts to connect the dots.
Okay.
And the dots I'm trying to connect is, how does the system know that this person that's in my life,
Yes.
if I have financial success as my goal, and I want to know if this person in my life that I'm about to do business with, how
Yes.
does the system know that that person at the moment in time and space,
Yes.
which is my time and space, um,
Yes.
if that person is in their life right now in time and space,
Yes.
financially successful or not? How does it know that?
Steve, I have been asking that question now for 23 years.
I'm glad we got to the truth.
I have been asking that question for 23 years, which is, how on earth do you know that? In other words, how do you know? But I gave up asking because the point is that I have never seen anything so honest and so truthful and so abundant in integrity that it's like I'm not convinced of this system, Steve. I'm converted. In other words, that no one's going to tell me. I've demonstrated this system over 10,000 times. Never once have I ever seen the system lie. And but to answer that question, I don't have the answer. In other words, how does this system know that? Well, because I'm just going to say that how it knows it, and this is my theory. This is a theoretical answer, and that is because perfect order is what governs our universe, and that's why the sunrise is never late, and that's why every planet is exactly where it's supposed to be at the exact time it's supposed to be there. And that perfect order that governs existence is captured in this time map system, because the time map system reveals the coherent functioning of the laws of change. And so what I believe, Steve, that what we have in our possession is the ability to be able to predict when and where earthquakes will happen. This is what I'm hoping to see happen in my lifetime, because the reason why we can't predict earthquakes is because of what's called Tabiti's theory. It's Tabiti's theory because it comes from me. And Tabiti's theory says that we can never solve a calculus equation without applying the fundamental rules of arithmetic. And so seismology, which is the study of earthquakes, okay, that's the calculus. But the time map system is the arithmetic. And so what I'm saying is, to all seismologists, you're never going to be able to do what you do until you integrate this into the system. Why? Because once again, you'll be asking, Steve will be asking, well, how does the system know when and where an earthquake will happen? Well, I've been asking that question now for over 20 years. You see, in other words, how do you know? But it just does. In other words, it's not so much whether it knows or not. It just shows us how our existence works in the context of time.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I'll promise you that I will get on the system and I will test it,
Yes.
and
Please.
I'm sure that it will do whatever it will do,
Please.
and if it's right on,
Mm-hmm.
then I guess you are telling me the truth. But
Yes.
um, you know, I'm just one of those guys, I guess, just like a lot of people. Actually, I don't just need to believe things or see
Right.
things or hear things or feel things. I kind of go beyond that now. I go beyond my five senses, um, to be
Right.
able to know for me something is working or not. So because the five
Correct.
senses are not enough
Correct.
for me.
Yes. Yes, Steve. The reason why I'm successful is not because people believed me. I'm not asking to be believed. It doesn't matter what anyone believes. It doesn't change, once again, what the truth is. You see, and so the reason why it's successful is because this can be proven to anyone who has a date of birth and goes through 7 days a week. This is proven to anyone who meets that criteria. You see, but see, what you are, Steve, is you're more like the scientist. And what I mean is, science and religion, for example, have been at odds since the beginning of time. And the reason why they've been at odds is because their criteria of truth is different. For religion, it's who said it. Jesus said it. It's in the Bible. Well, then it's true. Well, that doesn't work in science. in science, it's prove it or else it's not true. You see, and so that's that's why when we were talking
Yeah,
about
but science is being proven wrong all the time.
well,
All
no,
the time.
no, science means a branch of study or a branch of knowledge, a branch of knowledge. You see, and so no, what gets proven true or false are theories. Theories are what gets proven true or false. In other words, a fact is something that has been proven to be true or false. That's what a fact is. A fact. You see, and so that's what we're working with here is the time map system is something that people are able to prove for themselves. In other words, that that they'll see that it is everything that that I say it is. In other words, your time map system shows you exactly by date when and how things are going to change in your life based on the direction you choose. But then the time map even shows you what those directions are, because no one knows what their directional choices are until they see the time map system.
Gotcha. So I'm gonna do what you said, which is I'm not gonna believe you. I'm gonna test. I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna test it for me, and to make sure that it works for me.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair, Steve. That's fair. But just remember that like I said, unless you're exempt somehow from the same rules that govern the rest of us, there's tens of thousands of us, okay, that are all in agreement with everything that I'm saying. That's why it's like I'm not trying to be popular or anything like that. I just want to get this into the hands of people that really are truth seekers like me, that really love the liberating existence that one experiences when one has the knowledge of what the truth is, especially when it comes to their own individual life. That individual life is determined by one's date of birth, because one's date of birth is what factors us into existence. And so and then the ancients had the science that that this has now lasted for thousands and thousands of years. You see, and I just don't see how things last that long, because it's some kind of a bogus idea. So and then whether anyone believes it or not, it is true that there are 52 cards in the deck, and it is true that there's 52 weeks in the year. It is true that there's 12 face cards, and it is true that there's 12 months. And there's 12 a.m. and 12 p.m. hours of the day. It is true that there's 4 directions in space, and it is true that there's 4 directions in time. Even if this is the first time we're learning it, it's still true. You see, so that's what I mean when I talk about truth. I'm not talking about my truth or your truth. I'm talking about the truth that is that's universally verifiable. That's the truth I'm speaking of.
Awesome. Well, with that, our conscious hour is over,
Okay.
and I prove this on my shows all the time, that the conscious hour doesn't seem like an hour. It seems like just a few minutes.
Wow.
It's almost like you and I just started, and you actually had me when you said that this gives us access to how the universe works.
Right.
You had me then, and I've just been giving you kind of a hard time throughout the show, not on purpose, but I wanted people to see that what you created here and your answers to whatever questions come at you will always be the same.
No, I think you just wanted to see a brother lose it on camera.
No, I didn't. I wanted to see if I give you some objections.
Okay.
How do you handle them?
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people that are going to see, this is new stuff. This is not something that we can just shove down people's throat,
Right.
People are going to be watching this, and they're going to look at it, and they're going to go test it. They're going to go on your website, which is, by the way, www.
Thepower.org.
Thepower.org, right.
Thepower.org, right.
And it's not you didn't make it, completely unaffordable. You made it reasonable, so people can spend a very reasonable amount on testing it and make sure that it works for them. Which is just like taking a car and take it for a ride.
Right.
I don't buy a car unless I drive it. Do you?
Right. Well, no, I agree. I agree with you there, Steve. But like I said, as far as I'm concerned, I'm already past what where people are coming into this and thinking along the lines of, since there's infinite applications for a powerful system like this, I personally would like to see us reach that point where we can give advance warning on when things like earthquakes will happen, because the danger of an earthquake is directly proportional to where one is when one happens. And the reason why people die in these things is because there's no forewarning of them. If we know that they're coming, then we can prepare or make preparations or leave. And see, to me, these are the things that are so important. And so I apologize if for some reason I don't have too much sense of humor about it. It's like, look, I don't want to gloss this over and cost somebody who needed this the opportunity of having it because I was too busy clowning around about it. So that's just where I was coming from. But still, for whatever it's worth, I've been doing this a long time, and so far, like I said, I've met no one who's exempt from it. No one.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to check it out and see where that takes me, and I'm definitely looking forward to it. So I appreciate your candidness. I appreciate your straightforwardness, and remember, television is part entertainment.
Right. Well, that's true.
So we can get as serious as we want, but my shows are not a drama show. So
you can't handle the truth. What do you mean you want the truth? You can't handle the truth. What do you mean?
And I do like to laugh around because laughing. I tend to live for a long time, not just to 100, but way beyond. So because it's just what I'm into.
I hope you do, brother. I mean, that would be another that would be another breakthrough. I think that we're going to see things like that as well. I think that people are going to figure out that that if when we stop doing the things that cause our ailments and symptoms, then treatments will no longer be necessary. And so I think that we're gonna come out of this darkness of ignorance, and that that as more light continues to ascend on the planet Earth, then a lot of the corruption and ignorance that's hiding in the shadows is going to be exposed, and it's going to create an aha moment where we begin to literally wake up and rise up into truly understanding what does it really mean to be made in the image and likeness of something that is beyond magnificent.
Yeah, I love that. So let's close the show out with that because I don't think I can outdo that one.
Okay.
So thank you so much for being on the network, and you were awesome. And
thank you.
I'm always looking for any tools, any systems, anything that will make us better human beings and help us go through our evolution as. The only thing I know is that's what human beings are up to right now. There's nothing else that I can see that's more important than taking humanity through more and more evolution. That certainly includes me. So I'm very open to what you've created here. I'm going to check it out and see how it works for me, and then I'll report back to you.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Reverend Thabiti. And again, the website to go to for everybody is www.power.org.
The Power.
The Power.
The Power, yes.
Thank you so much, and I love you all, and we'll see you next time, same place, on ConsciousEvolutionMedia.com, on the Mind, Body, and Soul TV. Thank you, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.